In this video, I will be introducing a new series concept that I have cooked up for this year, which I am calling Things In, Things Out 2025. That car alarm really has an opinion. Let's do it! Today is Friday, January 31st. Last day of January. First of all, can we just say that's bonkers that the first month of 2025 is already over. I don't even know what time is anymore. Time since COVID has been just this thing that floats in the ether and really doesn't have anything concrete about it anymore. I don't even know if time really was concrete to begin with, but you know what I mean. January is almost done. And for the entire month of January, I did some tracking. I tracked the physical items that both came into my life and the physical items that went out of my life, with the intention of, by the end of this year, resulting in more items out than in, if that makes sense. When I say physical items, I mean items that are tangible and have the potential to remain in my possession for a longer period of time. In addition to the physical items, I'm also tracking select consumables that are moving in and out. For the time being, I'm tracking 3 categories, and those categories are personal care items, select stationery items, and tea, which is random, but it needs to be done because I am up to my eyelids in tea, and some of it needs to get moved out and not replaced. So what I thought I would do is at the end of each month, just kind of talk about the things that came in, the things that went out, and I will separate them into the physical items versus the consumables. I made a sheet on my 2025 money Google sheet. I do all of my budgeting digitally. I started that at the beginning of 2024 thinking it might just be something that I play with, and I did it every single month without fail. Digital budgeting is an absolute game changer. It has been for me. And if you struggle with doing money stuff on paper, or if you just struggle with budgeting kind of as a whole, or it's just one of those things that you would just rather do anything else but that, and you haven't tried digital budgeting, I highly recommend finding a template or building one. I built mine from scratch in Google Sheets, and it's highly customized to my particular life circumstances and situations. And I've really grown. It's become like a part of me. It's this evolving, like almost living organic thing. And my money sheet and I are like besties now. It's a thing. I think I'll talk about the items out first, just because, you know, they're gone and it's relatively easy to just go down the list. Now, some of these items will be, you know, bigger. Some of them will be smaller. I'm not really differentiating, you know, between like sizes or anything like that. Also, if it's like a set of items that essentially belong in a pair, for example, like socks, I'm counting that as one item and not 2, just because there are certain things that just function together like as a unit. So if it's socks, it will be a pair of socks, even though it's technically 2 items. It's a pair, it's 1. So just throwing that out there. I'm going to scooch you over here because I'll put the list over here. So in January, for physical items, I moved out 7. 7 items went out of my life. They just no longer serve a purpose for me, and hopefully they will be better served elsewhere. Oh, I went on a tangent about my money sheet, and I forgot to like elaborate where I was going with that. I made a tab in that sheet for the things in, things out, and I'll try to maybe put a photo of it here of what it looks like. But I have a side for the physical stuff. I am, for the stuff that comes in, I am also tracking whether I bought it new, whether I bought it secondhand, whether it was a freebie or it was a gift that somebody actually gave to me. For the items out, I'm tracking whether I gifted them to a specific individual or group of people, if I sold them, or if I donated them. I think there was only 3. If there's another one, I'll put it right here. I can't remember. For January, all 7 of these items that moved out were donated to my local thrift shop. So they were all donations. They all went out at the same time. And they are as follows. Item number 1, 1 plastic cone of shame, that goes around, the cat or dog's neck. That was something that we just ended up with when my kitty, who is no longer with us, she had surgery in 2023. And we ended up with a plastic cone of shame. We had a cone already. I don't know why we ended up with it or how I didn't see it in the stuff, but it just ended up in our closet, and we never used it. So I figured that could be served better elsewhere. So 1 plastic cone of shame, 1 hair towel. It was a towel I had that was specific toward hair, and I liked it as far as what it did for like the texture, but it left a really nasty smell in my hair and just all around me, and I didn't care for the smell. Maybe it was just me and I was sensitive to it, I don't know, but the hair towel no longer had a place, and so the hair towel went. Item number 3, 1 package of stickers that I inherited from a teacher friend. I thought I was going to use them for something personal. I ended up not, and I have no need for them. And I figure instead of putting them back in the musical crap table that we have at school, where we all just circulate our stuff, around and around and away we go. I figure instead of putting it back there, which is where I got it from the first time, I would just not do that and move it on out. So 1 package of stickers. Item number 4 was 1 faux leather traveler's notebook. This was also something I inherited from a work thing, and I just have no use for it. I'm a traveler's notebook girly, but it just wasn't my kind of traveler's notebook. It had like an inscription of a quote on the front, and it was faux leather, and the size was weird. It was like I think the closest thing I could think of is like personal size. It was shorter than standard, but wider than like B6 Slim. So I think that maybe might be like personal. The sun's coming in hard at an angle right here. So, we're rolling with it. Item number 5 was 1 small plastic container with lid. This is just something, it was a nice container, but I had like several others like it, and I just didn't need that container anymore, and so I just moved that on. Somebody will use it. It's a nice container. I just didn't need it anymore. Item number 6, 1 butter dish. So I had this really pretty like light green glass butter dish that I had for probably about 15 years. It served me well. That butter dish was great, but it houses like the regular American style, like long skinny sticks of butter that are 4 ounces each. And I'm a Kerrygold butter convert. I have been for about 2-3 years, and I did not have a butter dish that could fit. I spent a lot of time having, and those Kerrygold bricks are bigger. They're 8 ounces. They're like the equivalent of 2 American style sticks side by side. And I didn't have it. My butter dish just could not fit that whole stick of butter. And so I would end up having it and then putting half at a time, and it just made a big mess. And I just decided I was going to get myself an actual butter dish that could house, the whole thing. And I ended up with the world's most extra butter dish that's probably ever been made. And I actually got it for free, which was funny. I ordered it from Amazon. My package got lost. And then I decided, well, maybe I might need to shop a little bit more. Maybe that one just ended up not being the right one. And I got a refund. And then a couple of days later, the dish showed up and they said, just keep it. So I paid for it. I got my money back and I got the dish anyway. And I freaking love my butter dish. It's a ridiculous thing to love, but I love my butter dish. I'm going to put a photo of it right here. It's a heavy ceramic. It's really, really nice. And it holds an entire thing of Kerrygold butter, and it's just the bomb, and I love it so much. So my OG green butter dish that served me well, I decided to move that on. So was a very long story about a butter dish. Last but not least, item number 7 was one small blue backpack. This backpack, I went back and forth on this one actually, just because I got this backpack during like COVID era, so like early 2020s. This light is awful. Sorry, it's just the way it's just the way the ball's bouncing right now. It's raining over there, and it's sunny right there. This is my life. That is a tangent. Back to the backpack. I got this backpack just because I wanted a little something to carry with me that was, you know, simple and kind of minimal and just basic, and ended up having a crap ton of pockets, which was actually really cool. But and I used that pack a lot, and I was kind of hesitant to let it go just because it was so useful. But I have a different backpack now that I love and adore. This is my KL928. I might do a what's in my bag. I love what's in my bag videos, and I've never done one, and I might do one for this because this holds a metric shit ton. And it's fantastic. But this is my bag that I have now. And I hadn't used that other one in like well over a year. And it wasn't very much. And if I tried to, it would have been a bigger hassle to try and sell than it was worth. So I just decided to move that on and let someone else get some use out of it. Because it's a great little pack, and it's still, for as much as I used it, it's still in really good shape. And so hopefully someone else can get some use out of it. So to recap, 7 items out, 1 plastic cone of shame, 1 hair towel, 1 package of stickers, 1 faux leather traveler's notebook cover, 1 small plastic container with a lid, 1 butter dish, and 1 small backpack. Those are the physical items that went out in January. Now for the items in, I did really well. This month, I have to say. For physical items in that were new to me, I only brought in 2 things. 2 things for the entire month. I'm really, really happy with how it worked out. Item number 1 is one I actually have with me because it's on my Shakespeare Antique Brown pocket. I've done videos about this. I'll link them if I remember to do so. But I mentioned in another video that I wanted the Travelers Company Road Trip brass clip, which is this lovely little thing right here. And I went to the Caravan in Port Townsend, the Caravan event. I did a video about that. I'll link that as well if I remember. But by the time I got to the front, they were out of the clips. And I did not get, but they were going to put them on their website. But the first round of purchasing opportunity, I missed out. I was like, okay, fine. So I'll wait again because they were going to restock again. And finally, on the second try, I ended up getting it. I think I got the last one because my page refreshed and it said sold out. So I may have gotten the last one. But I think this is now, I think they sent out an email. I only glanced at it briefly, but I think this is going to be like a regular part of the lineup. I can't remember. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong if you know about that. But yeah, it's I wanted this clip and I had saved for it since October because I knew I wanted it in November. And I just let that money sit there until I was able to get it, and I ended up getting it toward the beginning of the month, and it made its way to me, and it now resides in my traveler's notebook, and it keeps my place usually for my my capture book, which is here. So this is today, so this kind of keeps my spot there. So I got my road trip. I'll link the videos I did for this and the stationary vlog, the caravan video that I did, in case you're interested. So that was the first item in, was the Travelers Company Road Trip brass clip. The second item in was a book. It is a physical copy of The Living Tarot by T. Susan Chang of Fortune's Wheelhouse podcast fame, and she also wrote, is it 36 Secrets? It's the book about Deckens. I think it's been referenced a lot. I started working with this actually last year, but I only had the audiobook and the ebook. And the audiobook actually is very useful, and I'm using the audiobook now in conjunction with this book. And I might do another series of videos on my work with this book specifically, just because it's just so good. And it's almost mapped out like a course. Like she has in every chapter, she has assignments for you to do. She's really big on the card a day, which is a practice that I did at the very beginning of my practice because I was learning. And then I kind of let it go because I didn't find it useful at the time. But I really feel that's something I want to try to maybe bring back, just to try it again. And so I'm kind of using this as like a guide. So now I have a physical copy of the Living Tarot. I had it in my cart in Amazon. It was like over $20, and then I got a little notification thing. The price had dropped to like $15, and I had money in my budget left over for personal stuff, and so I was like, yeah, I'll go ahead and do it, because I was gonna get it in February regardless, but I just decided to do it early because of that price drop, and I had money in the budget. So that's the second item. So brass clip and a book. So those are the only physical things I brought in January. Total things in, 2. Total things out, 7, which is a net -5. So that means I am 5 items down from where I started in late December, which is fantastic. And I just really want to keep this momentum going, just because of, something I'm really putting my attention on this year is I have this, it's like a really overwhelming feeling to just own and possess less. I just do not need as much stuff as I have, and I do not need to bring a whole ton more in. And what I do bring in is going to be thoughtfully planned out. And that could be a whole other series in itself of what I'm calling slow spending. Like no spending and low spending are slow buy. Like no spend and low spend and no buy and low buy, they're real popular, especially this time of year at the new year. But this concept of slow buy, where every purchase decision you make is mindful and thought out, and there's an element of patience involved. And that patience word is something I'm going to be talking about extensively, just because it's one of those things that's been shaping my year so far, and I'm finding very beneficial and enriching. Net -5 for physical stuff. Now to the consumables. Consumables, as far as empties, I used up 3 items, and they're all in the personal care arena, at least for this month. I used up my Aveda gel cleanser and my liquid exfoliant. I also emptied a container of floss. I do not know what it is with floss in my house. It must have been the time when my son and I were just really circulating through our dental appointments, and I swear every time we walked out, we just had floss for days. I do not need floss. I realized every time that asked, do you need floss? I would just be like, yeah, just because I wasn't thinking. And now it's like, no, we're good. We're good on floss. I have floss and floss adjacent items for days. So I do not need any more floss. So I used up cleanser, liquid exfoliant, and floss. I replaced the cleanser and the exfoliant. They're both from Aveda. Same size, same exact product. It was a direct 1-for-1 replacement. I love them. I use them regularly. And the floss I did not replace. I emptied 3 and I replaced 2. So that's a net -1 for empties, which means I'm down 1 more than I was, which is fantastic. No tea empties or stationary empties for this month, just the personal care stuff. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say about this topic. I don't think so. This is just something I'm trialing, and I'm really I'm feeling very passionate and motivated to continue with this process, because it's like my goal isn't to be a minimalist. I don't think I will ever be a minimalist, just because there are certain things in certain categories that I just like entirely too much, and I will probably never give those up completely. And I also do like furniture, I know that's for more extreme minimalists that, a lot of them don't have a lot of furniture. So I'm never going to be a minimalist. Minimalism is not my end goal. If anything, I kind of gravitate more toward the essentialist sort of view. There's a book called Essentialism. Who's the author? Greg McKeown? I probably got that wrong, but I'll put a photo of it here. I have a copy of this book too. I do recommend this book. I have not read it cover to cover, but I've picked at it as far as certain topics that were relevant for me at the time. This is kind of what I'm aiming for a little bit more as far as what is essential to you so that your life is fulfilling and enriching and meaningful to you. So I guess that's kind of where I'm going with this. I don't know. I think this is going to be like an organic, evolving process. Like I said, by the end of the year, I would like to have more go out than come in. I do not have a set target for like a cutoff for the number of items I'm going to bring in. I know some people, I've seen some videos where some people are like, I'm only going to bring in 5 new things, or I'm only going to bring in 10 new things, or 15 new things, or sometimes a certain number in a certain category of items. I'm not setting up any kind of benchmark like that. I just want to see how I do organically, just with what comes in and what goes out. And hopefully I'll end up in the negative as far as what I am possessing at the end of the year, if I make it that long. I don't know. I'm really motivated right now. Will it continue? Who knows? But for now, it's a thing, and it's a very important thing for me that I am doing. I think the slow spending is something I do want to talk about more. I made a tab in I actually made a tab in my money sheet for that as well, and I think that might be worth sharing eventually, just as far as I just made a master list of, I'm not calling it a wish list because I don't know if I necessarily wish for everything that's on there, but stuff on there is just interesting and I just want to keep track of it. And if I decide I want to get it eventually, then it will get sort of highlighted as this is going to be what I'm working toward. And doing it in a mindful manner where I'm actually saving for these items. Like that brass clip, it was like $30 with tax and shipping, but I saved for that, you know. And when I had enough and I still couldn't get it, I just left that money alone because I knew I wanted it, and I didn't earmark it for anything else. I didn't just go spend it because it was there. I kept it for that purpose. And that for me has been really meaningful. The bigger ticket item that I'm saving for right now, might not be a big ticket item for some people, is actually a passport. I'm a 43-year-old woman who has never had a passport like to travel. I've never had a passport. I've been to Canada, but the last time I went was in the era where you could take your driver's license and you were good to go and not get like flagged or anything like that. But the ironic thing is I have absolutely no desire to travel. Like at all. I know travel is the thing that everybody talks about that they're saving for and they want to do. And I just have no desire to travel at all right now. I just feel very much like I want to be a home area body. I don't know. So this is a really interesting time for me to save for a passport when I have no desire to travel. But I can take it to Canada. I actually live quite close to Canada. Canada is not far from me at all. And I can use it to go to Canada. But, to British Columbia, but that's the extent. But I just think it's one of those things that it's a good idea to have. It's an extra piece of identification. It's a legal document, and I just feel right now that I would very much like to have a passport. let's just put it that way. So that is the item that I am saving for right now. I am putting money aside every month to get a passport. And I am just over about halfway there as far as I think I can have it funded by March 1st. When I have that ready to go, I will start that application process. And then when the passport's paid for, I will start saving for something else. It's like this circulating, rotating process. And I'm liking it a lot. Just being patient. That being said, I'm not saying that I won't ever spend spontaneously because I'm a person and, we do what people do. But, so spontaneous purchases could be a thing, but it's not a thing, 3 to 4 times a week. That's just not happening. Maybe once every couple of months, maybe not even that. But for the most part, everything is being very deliberately thought out. This video is getting long for what this content was supposed to be. I wasn't really intending to talk about that last part necessarily here, but just in case I don't do a separate series for that, and I decide to incorporate it into this one, at least there'll be a record of that thinking for January. I'm going to use my personal time wisely now that my principal let me take and actually go run my errands. So that concludes this one. I'm going to go do my thing. Until my next one, take care and be well.